One last big idea and two challenges for you. This last idea is that we hear often now, and I think we've heard it for a long time, but the culture war is raging, right? The right's trying to preserve a bygone culture that was so much better, and the left's trying to progress toward a new culture that we haven't reached yet. And the reality is that everybody's trying to win the culture war. And it's really easy for us to get swept up and think, well, if God's kingdom is the best, and if living in God's way is the best, then we want to make sure that those things win the culture war. And we try and play those out in a million different ways at a million different levels. But the reality is that Jesus never asked us to win any culture war. He never expected that the culture of the world and the culture of his kingdom would line up. And that is why we're not winning the culture war. We are constantly inviting people out of the war into the kingdom counter culture. Jesus' church has always been at its best and at its peak and at its strongest and its most subversive and impactful when it is going against the grain of culture. And so instead of waging war on the other side, what we do is freely invite people from any side into Jesus' counterculture, because that is the way that brings life and truth and goodness, and that's the only thing that actually brings hope into our lives, is living in his way instead of all of the other ways. And that brings us to two challenges, two ways that I think we can start living this stuff out in really effective ways that I think will not just make a big impact on us in our hearts, but also start making impacts in the relationships that we have as well. And the first challenge is to, as soon as you can, learn as much as you can from someone personally that disagrees with you almost completely on something. And this can be hard work. Just learn. Don't try to win. Don't try to be heard. Don't even offer anything in return. Just learn about them, their experience, the context in which their view was born out of, but then also learn more about the context of their opinion. It probably has something important that you need to hear. And so just do the work to listen and seek to understand. And that brings us to the second one. Maybe it's the same person, maybe it's somebody else, but try as hard as you can at some point soon to love unconditionally, to bless radically as you can someone with whom you disagree with on something completely, right? Something divisive. Take what should be tension and turn it into unconditional blessing and love. Find a way to bless them just because you want to build the bridge for the sake of building a bridge, and because they are someone created in God's image and redeemed by the love of God. And so hopefully those challenges will help you start living out this love and helping you navigate the dangerous conversations in your life.